Democrats abroad in Ireland, joins us on the programme now. Hello, how are you, Sean?
Good morning, Greg. I'm very well on this beautiful Mediterranean day.
I presume you're not in Donegal?
You are, okay. I am, but I have the curtains closed.
Exactly. We'll keep them closed because it ain't too pretty in most of the places. The US presidential election, it's one of those events, I suppose, that gets a global audience. I'm not sure as much now because everyone has their own problems to contend with. Or, am I wrong, are you getting a sense that there is that same level of interest in American politics that we have seen in the past?
I think there is, and of course, as you mentioned earlier about the GAA final coming up, there are so many more platforms for people to access information about the election itself. And also, whether one likes it or not, the United States is one of the most powerful nations on earth, and I'm quite a friend of Ireland over the years. So I think not just globally, but specifically in Ireland, there is a tremendous interest. And in terms of charisma, in terms of personalities, you would have to go back quite a few years to find one that is more charismatic than President Barack Obama. He really has gelled world opinion, not just opinion within the United States.
But he's a bit light on foreign policy. A lot of his initiative he's introduced have not worked, and he's sent debt through the roof while employment continues to rise. But he's facing someone in Mitt Romney who can't get his foot out of his mouth. Do the voters really have a choice between the two as such? I mean, they're both flawed candidates, are they?
Well, I think there is quite a difference between the two. In fact, they're quite contrasting characters because Barack Obama of mixed parentage, meaning father from Kenya, mother from Kansas, put himself through college. I ended up at Columbia University, then Harvard, then working for community groups in Chicago. Mitt Romney, in contrast, son of a governor of Michigan, himself governor of Massachusetts, net worth about $200 million. So his background is very much different to the community-based background that President Obama grew up with and worked in. And I think that comes through in their worldviews, in their social views, in their sentiments. Meaning, in effect, the Republicans Party is more a case of you should take care of yourself rather than we're in this together. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Obama view and certainly the Democrat Party view would be shared responsibility, shared opportunity, I think.
But he has had 4 years in the office, and many people feel that he's not achieved.
He has achieved.
Now, I know you're a Democrat, so it's rather difficult.
No, you've made a very valid point, Greg. He has achieved some things, and we mustn't forget that, for example, the Universal Health Care Bill was attempted during 8 years of the Clinton administration, and Bill Clinton and the Democrats failed to pass it through. Yes, President Obama did pass through the bill in great difficulty in face of Republican Party protests. It also must historically be remembered that President Obama inherited an absolutely shocking economic situation.
Yes, but he's spent an absolute fortune. And Americans have to borrow as much as Ireland are as well. He spent an absolute fortune. And the one thing that is, correct me if I'm wrong, in America that's hugely important is people's ability to have a job. And the level of unemployment there, despite every effort it would seem and all the money being thrown at it, is still incredibly and historically high.
It is, but it has lowered in the last 4 years. It's just tipping 8% now. But when he inherited the White House, it was 4.4 million jobs had been lost. 760,000 jobs every month were being lost in 2008 when he took over the presidency. And now it's down to 8%. the motor industry in the United States was on its last leg. It has been saved, and in fact, manufacturing jobs across the board in the United States have raised for the first time in quite a few years. So there are, I think, benefits that he has brought to the table.
Okay, just before...
And in face of, we must remember, a loss to the Democrats because the Republicans now control Congress.
Well, that's what I was going to say to you. I mean, would it not be better taking the men, like Barack Obama clearly is more of the people. Mitt Romney, you know, is a very rich man. He's finding it hard to engage, and indeed he seems to ostracize people more. The way the makeup of politics in America work, would you not accept Romney just because if a decision is to be made, it would be more easy for it to be made because of the way he has to interact with Congress?
I don't think he would be the right person to make those decisions, because keep in mind that Bain Capital, of which he is the owner, has actually reduced the number of jobs in the companies that it itself has invested in. So his track record on that alone doesn't indicate he'd be the first person to create jobs. And secondly, even in terms of tax revenues for the United States, for social, economic, environmental issues, he pays around 13.5% tax himself. He has declined to release any more of his tax returns, which is extremely unusual and only indicates one thing, while ordinary average income tax paid by American citizens is about 15.2, 15.3%.
But he's not breaking the law, is he?
Sorry?
He's not breaking the law. These are the laws of the land.
No, he's not. And as we know,
But we can't criticise someone for adhering to the law. I wouldn't have thought. Now, the system. How important? In other words, do Americans living outside of the US, many in Ireland here, of course, do they really have it? Is there enough numbers there to have any influence really over the outcome?
There is, Greg, and that's one of the surprising things. If you look at some of the national and state elections in the United States for Congress and Senate, for example, some of them have been won by literally a handful of votes. It might be several hundred, it might be several thousand, and of course we can't forget the situation in Florida with the infamous Chad, the butterfly votes, when the presidency itself between Gore and Bush was won by literally a few hundred votes. So in Ireland, literally, there's believed to be about certainly tens of thousands of Americans who have American voting rights, north and south in Ireland and in Britain. And that can make a huge difference. And you mentioned at the beginning of the program, Democrats abroad. And there are many Democrats in Ireland living, and they perhaps don't know how they should vote or how they can vote from abroad. And Greg, I would just like to mention a website, www.votefromabroad.org, www.votefromabroad.org, which gives the information as to how American citizens with voting rights abroad can indeed make a difference in this election.
And at least they have that option.
Sorry?
At least they have that option. You know, at least the function is there to allow people outside the country to have a say in the affairs within it.
Exactly, Greg. And as we know, if there is one right that we do have and we do own and no one can take from us, it's the right to vote. And those that favour the policies of the Democratic Party and are interested in joining Democrats abroad, which provides speakers, provides information regularly. There was an event we organised ahead of Obama's visit to Ireland last year. There will be hopefully a victory party in November. I would ask your listeners that they can contact me directly at sean.hillen@yahoo.com. That's sean.hillen, Hillen, @yahoo.com. And I would send them any information they need to vote in the upcoming elections.
Okay, before I let you go, and if you can be as independent as possible, although clearly an Obama supporter, Do you believe, or will it blow over, that Mitt Romney was secretly taped? He was in a public event. I think secretly taped's a bit sexy, but he was taped suggesting 47% of the population are going to vote for Obama, and was quite disparaging in his description of them. He says they were off-the-cuff remarks and stood by them in all fairness. Will that blow over, or do you think it will be just enough to ensure that Obama scrapes through?
It was a political gaffe. I'm sure his administrative staff, his public relations staff, were aghast at what he had said. But it does reflect his own and the Republican philosophy, and that is that the government shouldn't be doing too much to help people. And also it was inaccurate, because 47% of people not paying taxes, as he mentioned, is wrong, because there are two types of taxes in the United States: payroll and federal, and most, of course, pay taxes. In fact, as I mentioned, they pay a couple of percent higher taxes than Mitt Romney himself. So he will have lost some potential votes.
But it's all going to come down to the debates, isn't it? I mean, that's when people will... a lot of the floating voters, if you like, will hold the fire to hear how, when they have the series of debates... I mean, it's not impossible Obama could slip up, as well-spoken as he is. Mitt Romney might land a few big punches. I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done from a Democratic perspective.
Exactly, Greg. And if you cast your mind back to the days when Nixon, for example, was in the debates and the television cameras showed him to be sweating, people lost confidence in him because visuals are so important. There will be 3 debates. I think the first one is October 3rd. And as you say, President Obama is well versed in public speaking, but so indeed is Mitt Romney. But I think then, you're absolutely right, there's only a couple of points separating both candidates, and those 3 debates are really going to make the difference.
All right, we'll be watching that with interest. Give us the website again for people.
If people want to find out, it's www.votefromabroad.org.
Before that you go, Sean, someone texted in, is America ready for Hillary in 2016? That's not going to happen, is it?
One never knows. I think she probably will put her name in the hat. And she's done, I think, reasonably well in the position that she has had.
Yeah.
So I think she will be there in the hat.
And Bill Clinton, obviously, his popularity almost sometimes defies logic. I know he's done a great deal, but also a great deal of negative publicity. It's amazing if the public like you, what you can get away with.
Well, he, of course, in the Northern Ireland context, he did a tremendous amount in terms of the peacekeeping process. I think Gore probably made a mistake in not putting him further forward during that particular campaign. And also, Bill Clinton gave a really rousing speech at the recent Democratic Party convention. So he's still there, and he's still lively, and he's still electric.
And what about that lady that could see Russia from Alaska, her home in Alaska? What's she at now? She's a political commentator now, is she?
Well, as you know, Greg, she's a member
Sarah Palin, isn't it? Sarah Palin.
Exactly. She's a member of the extreme right Tea Party. And remember, this fellow Ryan, who has just joined Mitt Romney as his vice presidential candidate, he is a Tea Party person, more on the extreme right. And so, as you say, Nancy is one. Sarah Palin is one of the Tea Party persons. So again, we have Mitt Romney, who's right of centre, and you have Ryan, whoever is more extreme right. And together with the Tea Party, it might be most unfortunate if they won.
Indeed, it'd be great to get the 2 of them down with our president after his comments on the Tea Party movement went global, Michael D. Higgins, of course. Listen, thank you so much for your contribution, Sean. And it's interesting the fact that you're trying to mobilise the troops, so to speak, that American people living here do have the right to have their say in their homelands. So I suppose we've a bit of catching up to do there in the Republic here. Thanks very much.
It shouldn't be missed, Greg, that the Democratic Party have been more sympathetic to Donegal, to Ireland, particularly in terms of immigration. They've been much more flexible historically under Clinton, under Kennedy. So once again, in terms of immigration opportunities, I think the better bet is probably with the Democratic Party than the Republican Party for Irish people and also for assistance to this country.
We shall see. Thank you very much for that. Sean Hillen, Public Relations Director for Democrats abroad in Ireland. The texter says on a separate issue, they're asking, have we had any complaints about the new emergency department at Letter